Hey guys, I'm Afan from ArtandCode.com. Today we'll continue with our 2D arcade shooter game, and we already finished the Starfield system in the last tutorial, and now we can continue with the player. And for that we need a few images, and all the images I will provide to you guys in the link under this video and on my blog artandcode.com. On my blog artandcode.com you can find all code also. If you want to copy and paste, just do it. We can start. Just pull all images in the art folder in our project. Select fighter image and go to game object, 2D object sprite. We will add Unity sprite. Name that player. And now we can go to the script folder and add the C# script player class and open that class in the MonoDevelop. So it's a player class extended from MonoBehavior as always, and we need a few variables first. First variable is speed and transform, because we want to cache transform to mTransform variable. It's much better because when we want to use mTransform too much in our code, it's better to store that in the variable and to call that instead, because Unity otherwise calling all the time calling get component transform, and it's much slower. Next thing, we want to add awake. In awake we just want to set transform to mTransform variable, and then we want to in update method we want to call our method update movement, which we don't have yet, and we want to make that method down there. And in that method easily we just want to get position, mouse position, and we want to use a camera main, which is a main camera in our scene, and by default it's tagged as a main camera. But if you are making your own camera instead, camera, where are you? Okay, it will be untagged. So if you want to make a main camera, it's important to see that it's main camera tag. Don't forget that, because it will not work otherwise. So we are calling the main camera, and we are calling method screen to world position, which is a normalized vector on x 0 to 1 and on y axis from 0 to 1. So we are transforming that position to the world position. So we are getting mouse x and mouse y and the near clip plane of camera itself, and storing to the position variable as vector3. Then we just need to set the z component of that position to 0, because our all sprites are on the 0 here. And then we just want to store that back to the mTransform position, and it's good to go. I think we can test it, but before we can test, we want to pull the script on our object, and to store that object to prefer folder as prefer, and we can start and see it's following position of the mouse, but on the borders we are passing those borders, so we can go outside of screen, which is not good, and we don't want that, and that's why we will extend this code to solve that problem. And also we want to hide the cursor, because we don't want cursor on our ship player. So let's go. Let's continue. To solve the problem, cursor we want to hide first cursor in the start method. So when we start the game, cursor will be set to false. And to solve the border problem, we need a few more variables. So we want for each border one floating variable: left border, right border, top border, and bottom border. And we want them to set their value in the start method. And for that we will use the same method, viewport to world point, and we will just provide 0 for the left and for the right 1, and top 0, and for the bottom 1. I'm saying 1 and this is no 0.95 because I don't want exactly ship to go to the 0. I want a little offset, so that's why I'm offsetting the values from 0 and from 1 by 0.05. And now we want to clamp the values down in the update movement. So under the position, we want to position X clamped to the values between M left and M right border, and position Y to the values of top border and between top border and bottom border. And that's it. It's pretty much easy. We can test it now. So we don't see the cursor, and we are not exiting the space, window space. Okay, we want our ship to fire. So first of all, we will need a projectile. That's why we'll go to the art folder, select the bullet, and go to game object 2D sprite, add this 2D sprite, and call that player projectile. We will create a script, C# script, player projectile. And I can pull that to the script to the object itself and pull the object to the prefab folder to make the prefab, and we are good to go. Now we can open the script in Monodelp. It's a short script and it's very easy to do. So we'll start with variables. In the C#, all variables by default are private, but for sake of these tutorials I like to add private before them, because it's because of the readability, nothing else. It's much easier to see what variables are private and what variables are not. So also here I want to add M before, because it's by convention. We need first to cache transform to M transform, and we need to set the variable M border to the up border, because we want to use that border to destroy the projectile. If we reach the border, projectile will be destroyed, because we don't want to spam this hierarchy here and scene with tons of the projectiles, thousands of projectiles. It's not a good idea. That's why we have to destroy them. If we miss the enemy, projectile will be automatically destroyed when it reaches the border. Last thing, we need to put some logic in the update method, and that That means we don't need this debug. That means we want to translate by m speed multiply by time delta time on y-axis, and if we reach the border, which is named m border now, we will destroy a game object. So we can test now, hopefully. We can destroy this projectile from scene. We will add that projectile to our player. So we have to do that. So in the player, we need a projectile as game object here. Projectile prefab. And then we need a few variables, private variables for shooting, if we are shooting, and the timer, fire timer, and a fire rate timer, a fire rate variable. In the update method, we need first to decrease fire timer here. So every frame we will decrease fire timer by delta time, and then we will check if we are shooting or not. If we are pressing the mouse button down, we will set I'm shooting to true, and if we release that, we will shoot I'm shooting to false. And if we are shooting and if our timer is equal or less than 0, to instantiate the projectile prefab on position of this ship, and then we need a fire timer to set to be same as the fire rate. And we can test now. But first thing first, we need to add the projectile prefab to the player and press apply to store that, save that, and we can check. Hopefully it will work. So each time we are press the left mouse button, we will fire a projectile. So that's it for this tutorial. Thank you very much. Please press subscribe if you like these tutorials. I'll try to make another one in a few days. Thank you very much. Goodbye.